Get ready for fun. Get ready for laughs. Get ready to have a great day. Live from the KHOU 11 studios, it's Great Day Houston. And now here's your host, Deborah Duncan.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Great Day. Thank you very much. Okay, so it is Friday and date night for many people, but for many others, they will spend it alone again. I have a friend who just said, I'm still looking for my perfect soulmate. The word perfect might be part of the problem. Most of us are initially attracted to someone based on their looks, but as we know, it takes more to make a relationship thrive and survive. We have to be equally yoked. You've heard that before. That's the theory behind a new reality show where people are set up by relationship experts based on what they think the couple is really looking for and really needs in a mate.
I believe it's time to have a change in the way we approach marriage.
4 experts match me up with my perfect match. The first time I meet him is at the altar.
This experiment, it's not for most people.
I'm committed to this.
Am I brave enough to marry a complete stranger?
Well, whether you're still looking, wanting to reignite your old flame, or just back on the market after being burned, welcome certified sex therapist Emily deAyala and sex and relationship expert Dr. Gabrielle Morrissey. Good morning, ladies. And we'll let you know if you have a relationship question for our experts. Call us now at 713-284-1055, 713-284-1055. All right, let's get started. The show Married at First Sight, great principle here in the sense that a lot of us, and I think that's what dating is about, is that you find out what works for you, what doesn't, what some of your weak spots are, what some of your strong points are. But in this show, they kind of collapse time.
They do. I think they fast forward through a lot of that. And actually, when you said we were going to be talking about the show, I called up Logan Levkoff, who's one of the experts on the show and a friend of mine, and kind of was like, give me the inside scoop here. Yeah. Tell me what you're thinking about the show. And, you know, one point she made that I think is really poignant is that people are just really stressed out with dating. And I think overall, our expectations for what we're looking in a partner have become completely skewed. And so essentially...
my perfect soulmate.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's a problem with the word perfect, isn't it?
Right. Absolutely, there's a problem with the word perfect. We should be looking for potential, someone that we can grow with. And I agree with Emily. We also focus too much on what we're looking for and not doing enough reflection about what it is we need and what we can contribute, and whether that's going to make a mutual match.
That biblical term, equally yoked. We hear that oftentimes. And people sometimes confuse that as like, oh, does that mean you make as much money as I make? It's like, no. It means your core values are matched up, because that's where relationships can go awry, is if your core is not right or not matched.
Right, and that's, I mean, they do extensive history-taking assessments, questionnaires. I mean, they really take a close look at who are these people at the core, because another thing I think we do is we go into a relationship with this ideal, and then we try to get that person to fit the mold, and then we're really disappointed when they don't do that.
We write our romance novel, right? And some people in the audience are nodding their heads. And then you meet a guy, and you plug him into the script, only you haven't shared the script with him. And the minute he's not delivering the right lines, you're like, hey, cut, wait a minute, what's going on here, right?
Exactly.
It's our Prince Charming. The other thing I think women in particular do is we try to get the guy that we think the rest of society thinks is awesome. And so we describe them with those kind of outward things like, this is his job, girl, he drives this car, it's like a Ferrari, okay? And it's like, but we think that because we think it elevates us.
Exactly.
Right, or they'll say, he treats me so well because he sends me flowers to my work, or not those core things, treating somebody well in terms of, is he kind to you, does he listen to you? That's less sexy to show off.
Yeah. All right. We have someone on the phone this morning, and that's Tiffany said her name's Jackie. Jacqueline. Good morning, Jacqueline. Jacqueline, are you with us?
I am.
All right, Jacqueline, what's your question or comment for our therapist?
Well, I'm in a relationship, and it's a committed relationship, but we're like totally opposites in so many different ways.
Well, they say opposites attract, but is this a bad thing for you guys, or is there a problem with that? Jacqueline, are you still with us? Hello, Jacqueline. Can you hear us?
I can.
Okay, so is there a problem in the relationship? Because sometimes, you know, opposites attract. You teach each other different things, and it kind of broadens your world. But other times, it means that you're not doing things together. So what's the problem in your relationship with that?
Well, we do things together, and but it's just fundamental things that I'm thinking about, because like his perception of things that you do for a commitment for a household and what my perception is are totally different. I mean, I'm more involved with it and committed to everything that it takes in order to make the household run, and he is to an extent, but then it's little things like taking out the garbage and making sure about the lawn and all of that.
Does he not know the definition of a husband?
Exactly.
All right, yeah, you know, and this is one of those areas where it comes down to communication. And
Right.
sometimes I think, like, my husband knows when he's supposed to take out that trash. But if I nag him about it, that's his way of pushing back, you know, without verbally saying something, because that starts an argument, right?
Right.
You can just kind of go, it's kind of like acting out sometimes.
Exactly. You know, I think it's okay to have varied interest. I mean, I think if you are with someone who can expand who you are in different ways, and maybe you have some individual activities, that's great. But if the core values aren't matching up, that's where people can kind of run into some difficulty.
Yeah, yeah. And she's talking about some of those basic things. Of her idea of how the house runs is you do the yard, you do the trash, and that's kind of, it's kind of stereotypical, but typical in that sense. But if someone doesn't do that, is it kind of, you know, little things in a relationship, or is that something that's a sign of a bigger problem?
Well, I think they're important, but most people aren't going to file for divorce over the dishwasher and whether you've drained it or not drained it. I really think it becomes something about people needing to decide what their non-negotiables are and then clearly communicating those to each other so that, you know, there's wiggle room and forgiveness, because nobody is perfect. You're not perfect yourself. The moment you start criticizing what the other person is and isn't doing is the time to hold up a mirror and make sure that you can't say the same about yourself.
Yeah, or that communication of, instead of you need to do that, is it the what will it take for you to empty the trash? I'm doing this, you do that, and the house runs smoothly. There was a caller we had not long ago who had the same problem, leaving clothes all over the floor. And so finally she gathered them all up and put them in her husband's car. So he went to work the next morning. He got in, all the clothes were, so he goes, okay, message received there. All right, back to the married at first sight. The thing that's been interesting about this is like one couple in particular, she saw, you know, the point of this show is that you actually see the person you're going to marry the day you're getting married, like when you walk down the aisle. And she goes, not attracted to him, his accent's gonna drive me crazy, da-da-da-da-da, all the things that she didn't like, those initial things that we make judgments on. And now we're seeing her and she's like, you know what, he's sweet.
Yeah.
He's nice. He's fulfilling that deeper need that we were talking about.
Right.
All right, want to move from there to arranged marriages. In this multicultural society we have here in Houston, I have a lot of friends who that's their norm, is arranged marriages. And she goes, Deborah, it is a business relationship. And in business, with a business partner, you have no other option but to succeed.
You know, this idea of getting married for romantic love, historically speaking, is a relatively new concept. I mean, if you look back, most of the time people were getting married for political or economic or familial or cultural or geographical reasons. And so it's not that this concept is so foreign if we take a look at the broader scope. But I think when you take people who are in a culture and bring them into the U.S., where most of the time people are getting married for romantic love and they're seeing that all around
romance
them.
novels, we've all read our romance novels.
Right, right. That's when they kind of struggle with the assimilation process. You know, how do I transfer what, you know, my traditional cultural values are into this society?
But I think we can learn something from it too. For those of us who think that's just really odd to do, we can take from that when she says, look, we got into it and said this is a business partnership. In bad times, you have to try to pull it out, make it work. And in good times, you celebrate it. She goes, I did not even like my husband when I married him. Renu Qatar, she's the president of U of H. It's interesting because she's still in it was an arranged marriage, and she said that she went on a hunger strike when she was first fixed up with her husband, and her husband, he came to her and said, what's wrong with you? She goes, I don't want to get married. I want to go. If I get married, I can't have my education. He goes, who said that? He goes, I want you to do what you want to do that makes you happy. Go get your education. I'll help you. And he literally translated for her. When she was sitting in front of different colleges trying to see which one she could go to in America. And it all worked out. But communication, all she had to do was say, this is what I want. And he acquiesced. All right, we have Kim in our audience. And Kim, you have a question?
I do. Hello, ladies.
Hello.
Well, my question is, how do you recover after infidelity in a relationship?
Yeah, this is tough because a lot of people say, if anyone ever cheated on me, I would never. But then there are people who've totally recovered from it.
And I think we don't have enough role models that we respect of couples who openly, transparently say, we have dealt with infidelity, moved on, and potentially even been stronger because now we have a trust we can rely on that's been tested, and we have better communication. That's if it's dealt with really well.
Yeah.
Mostly what we hear is, he did that to you, she did that, and he's gone, she's gone, the kick him to the curb thing. And so there's pressure to try to work, even decide to try to work through forgiveness and relationship repair.
And there's sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. What's the difference between those two?
I think a lot of it kind of depends on exactly what happened. You know, is this someone who they have been working with and will continue to have to work with over time? If so, you know, the other partner's potential to kind of get triggered by that or to feel, you know, a little more insecure will be there more than if it was, you know, a one-time thing on a business trip. I think also if the one who has stepped out comes back and says, you know, I made a terrible mistake, here's what's going on, I really want to recommit to the relationship and get to a deeper place with you.
Because it also depends on, was it an emotional connection they had with somebody else? If it was an emotional connection, oftentimes that relationship could be doomed. But if it was a pressure, I didn't know what to do, it was my way of just kind of self-soothing, if you will, and then you work it out. But the important thing is to ask the why, and then if you forgive, to truly forgive. Because I have friends who have truly forgiven, but if you are 2 minutes, it's like you're like 2 minutes late coming home, where are you? You're with her, aren't you? No, I'm in traffic. Sure, you're in traffic. You're with her. Right? But yeah, truly forgive. All right, well, today on Facebook, how soon is too soon to get married? Why or why not? Log on, let us know what you think. I know some of you out there got married like within weeks of meeting each other and you're still married 60 years later. Others of you say that would be a mistake. We'll share some of your comments later on in the show. And we'll be right back. If you have a relationship question for Emily and Dr. Gabrielle, our love line is open. Call us at 713-284-1055. The experts weigh in on your relationships next.